Hello everyone, thank you for joining Virtual Scandinavia House. I'm Hertta Nilsson, and in this event today our guest is Mari Savio, the founder and design learning specialist from Suomu, the Finnish Association of Design Learning. And then if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat and Mari can then answer them later on. Welcome, Mari.
Thank you.
So we will discuss with Mari about Suomu and its promotion of design education across different teaching platforms. But I guess we'll start by the basics. What is design learning? What is Suomu?
Okay, design learning, I'm going to answer it after a minute, but I'm going to start with what is Suomu. Suomu is an association in Finland, and we work a lot together with schools and museums, and we organize meetings and not meetings really, events and all kinds of like happenings where adults and kids can try design learning and test it for themselves and really like get their hands into it. And we are also running courses in Aalto University about this subject. And what design learning is well, it can be described in a really long and profound way, but in a short way, it's creative learning. It's all about taking the tools that designers use in developing things into learning. So it's sort of like learning like a designer sort of thing. And we have been working for 10 years with this subject, and it's super interesting. And here in Helsinki, we have a couple of cool schools who are teaching everything using design learning methods, even sports and anything that usually doesn't, connect to design or learning in such way. But we have gotten really nice and really, really interesting results from that. So I can tell you a little bit more later. Hey, I just want to check, are we definitely online? Because it doesn't say it so in my machine.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's working.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So, Suomu is an association where sort of 15 niche, it varies from the project to project, designers and teachers work together, and we are promoting design learning in various different ways. And we are also running a lot of after-school clubs in Finland. So kids can get to know these creative learning methods while they're in school, but then they can also try them in these clubs that are organized after school. And there they do a lot of projects to do, design projects. They are designing all kinds of things and trying all kinds of like gamification methods and different learning methods. So this is like, we do a lot of different things, but it all has to do with two things, and that is designing and learning. Okay, well, I have my screen doesn't want to go forward. Now it does. Yeah, technical issues as always. So one thing that we do a lot in these clubs, for instance, is prototyping. And prototyping sounds like hardcore building things, but we are doing it in a very fun way. So when some idea or some learning thing is trying, people are trying to understand something, we are using prototyping as a learning tool. So it's one way of addressing some subject in a very tactile way, but also the way that you can then show other people what you're doing. And this is a very boring text, which is explaining what Suomu does. And it has our website in it, but it sort of gives the idea of all kinds of like activities that we have been attending. And we are also running teachers workshops, and we have been running the teachers workshops also in many other countries and in Finland. And in the teachers workshops, the teachers get to try these methods. So what we do is usually very hands-on, and we are trying to sort of like push the theoretical part on the side, but sort of bring it in with these projects so that people sort of learn by doing and learn by discovering these things themselves. And that has proved to be like really inspiring way to do it. And this is the design learning process that all the workshops, for instance, are based on, and all the design learning projects are based on. And this is the simplified version. And it's all about that when you start to learn something new, it doesn't matter if it's about space, or is it about planets, or is it about, you know, some language or new country, or okay, whatever you want to learn about history, the process can be applied. And it sort of goes to so that first you look at stuff. It means sort of like the part A is observing, and then you experiment and play and invent. And then you go into the prototyping, where is like the C part, which shows like hand. And prototyping is not about something that you don't necessarily have to be something. It can be also building a prototype of an abstract thing or a prototype of an idea. So it doesn't have to be a product. We don't do so much product design as such, but it's all about developing ideas and developing thinking. And the last part, where you can see the picture of a mouth, it's all about telling. So the idea is that you don't learn just for your own brain, and you don't learn only for keeping it to yourself, but to share it with others. And after a while, I'm gonna show you the workshop, which is about it's about saving the world. So the subject is pretty large, but it's an example of this Mutku program, where we have different kinds of workshops for kids and adults, and they are all about this design learning and how to try it and test it yourself. And one of the main thing is also this playfulness. So the workshop that you can now attend is like this one example of that. Do you want to ask something, or should I just go on?
I think there's currently no questions in the chat, but maybe you go on and we can ask questions afterwards. There are some things I want to ask you in a while.
You can ask whenever you want.
Thank you.
So this is a list of design learning methods that we are using, and it's like the method word is not really like the only right word here, but well, so we have been anyway using it. And some of these are things that you have probably tried and are part of teaching and learning everywhere in the world, and some of them are more specific to design learning. And what I can just gonna say, like point out a couple that we use a lot. We use sketchbooking instead of sort of like the ordinary way of using like other like learning material. So students are using their own sketchbooks and using them in a kind of same way as designers would use their sketchbooks, and building their knowledge into that. And then also we are learning empathy skills through design. So when you do a project, you do it for someone, and then there's different methods of learning empathy and learning those skills, how to understand other people. And then there are like these thinking, relaxation, searching together, feeling safe. There's a lot of these things that are talking about what kind of learning environment and what kind of atmosphere there is while learning. So that is really important in design learning, that people feel safe to be creative and feel safe to express their feelings and share their ideas. So
this goes back to when you were saying that design learning is not only about designing products, it's also about ideas and kind of like service design, that these concepts, like you say that empathy is such a big concept, that in the schools especially you can, what kind of ideas and concept you could design in a school setting, for instance, using design learning?
Well, it's kind of endless amount of things you could use in schools. Right now we are developing this learning package for high school students. But for instance, we have in our web page a free use package for comprehensive school kids, and there's a lot of different kinds of projects that you can do, but also it's all about the way you learn. For instance, so it's when you kind of get to know, you sort of like dig in deep into this subject, then it's a matter of learning. You can learn anything because it's like a change of point of view. You just approach the subject in a design learning way, and then you use these methods in any kind of project that you might do in your school.
Right.
But, for instance, we are doing different kinds of projects in school that have to do with, like, for instance, designing your own learning and designing school, developing your school, developing systems for your school. And it also can be sort of like, for instance, if you want to learn about, let's say, space, then you could do a design learning project where you design a game about space.
Right.
While you do the game design, you accidentally learn everything there is to learn about space because you need it for the game design. So that's sort of like the trick, that while you're doing a project, you don't even notice it, but you kind of find out everything you need to know, and then it kind of sticks in your brain better than you just read it and try to remember it, because in design learning, you use the information instantly. You gather it and you find it, and then you use it instantly and you share it. So the information is never dead. You kind of like, you find it and then you use it, and it's always in action.
Yes, circulated and applied. So the kids are really or in the schools, the students are really the ones who are actively working on it. It's not so much about teacher leading the project, but kids are very actively participating. Like that is the method that children are there, the ones, the agents.
Yeah, and then we're teaching this in Aalto University, where adults are doing this. So it's the sort of the role of the teacher is a bit different. It's not so authoritarian. It's like the teacher is a facilitator. The teacher helps the students or the kids, and then they could sort of like spark the idea that, okay, let's and the teacher sort of introduces the challenge. So most of the learning subjects are turned into challenges. So you find, not really a challenge is not maybe the right word, but it's about creative problem solving. So first you think, what is the question that we want to learn the answer for? And then the students are the ones who start searching, and the teacher helps. And the teacher is like, giving ideas, guiding, giving direction, but it makes students really, as you said, active in their own learning. And then they also know that, okay, this is a project, and this is like, we know what we are looking for, but then they are given a lot of freedom how to do it and how to go about it, and teacher can give ideas of different methods what you could use while searching for the answers, but there's a lot of freedom in the process, and that creates motivation.
Yeah, and now there's actually one good question for this in the chat. So Suomi Sakai is asking, do you find that different children learn differently? How do you accommodate different ways of learning?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's a really good question. We are actually making a book now about this. And just yesterday, we were just talking about this subject, and it's really like one of the main things in learning. And it was like a really good question, because there are like as many ways of learning as there are humans on this planet. So this is one reason why creative learning, we believe, is really like actually effective, because it gives like a box of tools where people can choose what's better, what works the best for them. Because often it happens that you have this sort of protocol and you follow it, and everybody learns the way, you know, you're giving this sort of like strict advice how to learn. But in design learning, there are different kind of methods that you can choose. You can first get to know them, and then you can be like, okay, I'm really like, you know, sketchbooks are my thing. And you know, you can make it into your own magic tool that you really like, develop your own way of sketchbooking, so that while you're, for instance, on a lecture or you're whatever you're doing, the sketchbook is your tool. Or somebody can be really good at making collages, or you know, debating or anything. So it's all about giving different tools of learning to adults and kids, so that they can design their own learning and get to know themselves as learners. So like, what kind of learner I am.
Right.
Because it's also like not self-evident. It requires empathy towards yourself, that you realize that, okay, now I learn like this. Wow, and I didn't learn it like that. So it's a matter of searching and trying. It's a good question. And also we are trying to, in all the workshops and all the learning processes and anything we do, we always, for instance, we have been developing this learning package called Mutku. And everything we ever do or design in Suomu, we always do it together with teachers and kids.
Right.
If it's for schools. So it's like, you know, customer, I don't know what is the real word in English, but you know, everything is sort of like, designers don't work alone. We want to work together with the people whom we are working for. And if we are working about, if the work is about learning, then it's developed together with kids or adults, whoever is the, you know, sort of student or learner. Okay, should I tell about the workshop of today? Okay, so a little bit background. Suomu went to Milan. We were invited by Aalto University to join Milan Triennale, the world exhibition. And that was really like so nice for us. And we knew that there's going to be a big audience of people coming from all over the world. And they are probably, a lot of them are first time getting to know what is design learning all about. And we made this project where kids were invited to design a world-saving machine. And the idea was that by prototyping, we could tell the world what kind of changes kids would want to see in the world, and what kind of solutions they would come up if they could do whatever. And we ran workshops in many schools and all across Finland with different age of kids. And then some of the prototypes were sent to Milan and shown to the big public, sort of. And it was quite heartwarming to read the stories that kids had in their minds when they were doing the machines. And it's amazing how sort of free thinking kids have when it comes to these wicked problems and the problem solving, when you don't have the boundaries of, like, you know, everyday life and reality, for instance. So I'm going to show you 3 prototypes that were chosen to Milan exhibition, and then I'm going to give a short instruction how to run a world-saving machine workshop in your own home or with your students, or whoever can do this anywhere. This has no age limit or nothing, no any other kinds of limits. So, and but this was this first machine shown in the picture, which looks really science fiction to me. I have no idea what it's made of. It's probably, it looks like there's glue and straws and pieces of like old jewelry and all kinds of things, because most of the things we make, they are already usually made from the prototyping materials are recycled. So in this case, in the Milan case, we used sort of, kids were breaking old stereos and smashing old televisions and using all kinds of technology waste and creating these new machines out of the old waste. And this is like the time machine. And the story of this machine was that this helps to cleanse the brain after being too much on the phone. And I think it makes so much sense because, you know, that's one of the that was one of the things that kids wanted to save in the world, is our brains from all this, you know, material that comes through the internet and everything. So this little machine is, you know, a peek to the future where you can actually like clean your brain after all this sort of like, what is the English word for noise, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One noise.
Yeah. And this next machine is a dog, and it's a robot that cleanses the planet. It goes all around the planet by itself and cleanses it. And it had other, like a long story of all kinds of things that it's doing. But it is also made from waste from this technical. I think they were, you know, they were like phones and radios and televisions and everything. And in this workshop, one of the best part was like taking apart the old stuff. And it's also interesting for the kids to see how things are constructed, so you also learn where the things are made of and where things are coming from. And this is a black banana submarine, which is swimming autonomically in the oceans and collecting all kinds of like you know, rubbish and things that are harming the fish. So it's like this fish protecting submarine made by two little guys who were 11-year-old. So these are some examples of what kind of prototypes kids were doing for the Milan Triennale. And shall I tell now what's the deal with the home version?
Yeah, this is very inspiring, and these are incredible examples. Thanks so much for sharing these. So yeah, let's go to our workshop challenge next.
Okay, these are just some examples of these world-saving machines that were made at schools from the materials that kids found from their own schools. So I'm just showing this to show that they can totally look like whatever you want, and there's no rules, no nothing. You can really do whatever you want. And now let's make your own. This is a really simple explanation of how to do it, and you can also do it totally the way you want to do it. So you can follow the instruction, or you can just do it however you want. But the instruction is all about that it's important to collect materials that are inspiring. And because people are now working from home, there's like, you can go outside, collect things from the yard. You can go to the neighbor's place if they have a junkyard kind of thing, or if somebody's garage is full of interesting, weird, you know, things. Then use your imagination and just take things that are like unused, used, or anything that, you know, can be taken into the project. And then we have been using in our workshops mainly hot glue, and this, I don't know, what is it called, this hot glue pressure or glue gun or something.
Yeah, low temp glue gun, I guess that's, yeah.
Yeah, and then you could, like, if you have hammers, tapes, staplers, whatever you can find. And so the idea is that you can put it together with whatever tools you have available. And then the last part is taking a picture of your own prototype. And if you could write a text about what does it save and how does it do it, what is the purpose of the machine, and if you could post it, and then I'm gonna tell in the last bit what to do with it and what happens after. But this is a picture of all kinds of materials that designers use in their work, which you could use in your world-saving machine. So the idea is, we have been trying to say to people that it's maybe good not to be so clean in your home, because otherwise you accidentally destroy these interesting bits and bobs that you can actually use for the prototyping or doing something. So now, if you have not been cleaning so super well, it's going to be like a big plus for this one. And here is some stuff that I found from my home together with Anna. I am here with Anna from Suomu. And this is stuff that we could make our prototype from. For instance, toilet paper rolls or clay or rocks. And then also you could just go outside and cut branches from the trees from your yard and find whatever weird things anywhere is, or fabric or anything. And there's a list of things, for instance, that can be used also. Old toys are perfect because they're usually, you know, much fun for a while, but then after that they become a little bit of a problem. So you could make a new thing out of an old thing. Also, office supplies can be used in a totally new way. And after making the prototype, and it doesn't really matter how you do it, and also I would like to say that one very important thing is when this is about design learning, is that skill, that how well it's done. So it doesn't make any difference. The point is that if it tells your story, and however you do it, it's gonna be great, because it's your idea and it's a picture of your idea. So don't be scared about if it's falling apart a little bit or looks kind of funny, because that's only a plus. Because when it comes to prototyping, it's not about being perfect. It's about telling something. And so when you post your project, you could use these hashtags, World Saving Machine and Scan House. And then maybe you tell what happens to those pictures.
Yeah, so once we have a collection of these hashtags, we can find them on social media. You can also send them by email to info@amscan.org. We can share that in our newsletter and our website later on. But we will collect all these images and stories, and then we'll present an online exhibition. We'll announce the timing for that, but we'll get back to this on our social media and newsletters. But so you can really tell any kind of stories and tackle all kinds of world-saving challenges. It can be big or small, and from your own local community, or looking at global platform and what do we want to address. But this is really exciting. I hope we have a lot of participation to this challenge. And at this point, I would like to ask if there are any other questions from our viewers. Please do use the chat and ask Mari something. This has been so exciting. There's so much to learn about design learning and so many questions, and I probably will need to have another session with Mari sometime in the future. And about the publication, the fall book too.
Oh, yeah. So again, and thank you for sharing the thing that, you know, the World Saving Machine can, you know, that is the really important thing. I forgot to say that the problem doesn't have to be worldwide thing. It can be something that is your personal thing, or it can be anything that comes in your mind when you think about something that you would somehow want to make better or change. And so we are making a book about design learning, and it's going to be also published in English this fall later on. All the timetables have become a little bit flexible because of these crazy times, but it is coming out and it's getting ready, and it's going to be called Dig into Design, and it's going to be published together with Etana Edition and Suomu, and we have a team making it. And yeah, well, there's going to be a lot of projects that anyone can do at home or at school, and it's going to be material that can be used by parents or kids themselves, or educators and teachers. So we are publishing these projects that are called studios, and one of the studios that are going to be in the book is this World Saving Machine in a larger version, sort of. And some of the studios are really easy and quick to make, and some of them are more profound and digging sort of deeper into design learning and these matters. And also the book is going to have a lot of stories from Finnish designers of how they became interested in design and what is design to them and how do they learn. So it's going to be like this, we hope it's going to be a sort of treasure box of learning for anyone who's interested in learning anything new.
That sounds fantastic, and multi-layered book with a lot of content. We are excited and looking forward to having the actual publication out soon. Yeah, I guess we've been going forward. Oh, there's another question in the chat. Christine from Harlem is asking that she's working with kids and would like to know more about your project ideas and sessions you may have. Do you have, Mari, something lined up in the future, what you would share that we can participate from here from US? Any
well, we can organize some.
Great.
In our website, I'm gonna click it here so that everybody got. Let's see. Okay, maybe it's like it's called motto. It's a horrible long Finnish word. Sorry for that. But if you go to our website, there's some content that you could use straight on. But also we are planning on releasing, web material, but we don't have it ready yet, so I can't promise that right now. But Anna is saying something. but also you could send your information or send us email, and we can then keep you posted about what is coming and in which channels. And also now, because of the lockdown started, we published to open use all our material, but most of it is in Finnish so far. But we are working on the translation. But there are some projects that are in English and can be used straight away. But mostly you can find them on our website. But then also, if we are happy to receive mail and then start keeping you posted about what's coming up, and if we start posting online material this autumn, then we can share it better that way.
All right, and there's another question. Thank you. Yeah, someone is saying thank you for this presentation, and then that they've been using design learning in Cambodia in international school 10 years ago.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that would be interesting to hear.
And one of the children ended up becoming a designer afterwards. That's fantastic.
Okay.
And then there's also an also email address. But we will follow up in our newsletters and in Scandinavia House platforms more information about Suomu and also the contact information, so you can directly.
And Anna just reminded me about very important thing, that in our website, there's in the front page, you can start ordering our newsletter. So
good.
That is a good way of keeping contact with us, and we're gonna share everything we do through that. So please do that. That's the simplest way, I guess.
On Suomu's website, subscribes to emails, and also we have newsletters for kids and families audience and for general Scandinavia House audience, so you can subscribe to emails and we'll get you hooked up with more Suomu projects in the future. Thank you
so much for asking us and me. So this has been really nice. It's funny to do it now online everywhere, so it's a little bit different than from actually meeting people, but
yeah, it's different energy when you don't directly get to interact with your audience, but you can make connections all over the world and connect with audiences from all over the places. So that's really exciting. It's been fun to
it's true.
With our 7-hour time difference from New York to Helsinki or Finland.
Yeah.
All right. This has been very, very, very interesting and inspiring, and I really hope that our viewers will participate in our design challenge using the hashtags and send us a message, and then we'll follow up with more design learning programs and content and online exhibition hopefully later. Thank you, Mari, for joining us today, and thank you everyone else for joining us. Happy Monday. I hope you have a lovely week, and stay tuned for more virtual Scandinavia House programming. This Friday we'll be celebrating Midsummer, So we'll host a virtual midsummer program this Friday, 3 p.m. So you can sign up for that one as well.
Thank you so much, and greetings from Helsinki to everybody.
Thank you.